Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the explainer that is literally going to save your lawn. Look, if you live here in San Diego, you know exactly how frustrating it is to pour time, money, and water, so much water, into a beautiful yard only to have it ripped apart from the inside out. Today, we're cutting through all that noise. We're looking at a straightforward, no-fluff playbook on San Diego Gopher Control, and we're basing this directly on the exact methods the pros actually rely on.
Picture this. You wake up one morning, grab your coffee, you look out the window, and boom, there it is. A fresh, ugly dirt mound right in the dead center of your perfectly manicured grass. Or maybe your favorite rose bush is suddenly wilting. Or, worse, being completely dragged down into the dirt. It's beyond frustrating, right? You're essentially under attack from an underground enemy, and you need real answers fast before your expensive irrigation lines become their next chew toy.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll identify the real culprit, then explore exactly why they target San Diego. After that, we'll skip the online myths, walk step-by-step through the 5-step trapping method, and finally, wrap up with prevention and when to call in professional help. Simple, right? Let's get to it. All right, Section 1, identify the real culprit. You simply cannot solve a pest problem if you don't know exactly what animal you're dealing with. It's incredibly common for homeowners to confuse gophers and moles, but treating for the wrong one? That's a massive waste of your time. Now, in San Diego County, the Bada's pocket gopher is the species behind almost every single burrow problem. So, how do you know for sure? Just look at the mound. Gophers leave these crescent or fan-shaped mounds, and the entry hole is distinctly plugged off to one side. Oh, and they eat roots, bulbs, stems, literally dragging your plants down into the earth like a horror movie. Moles, on the other hand, push up perfectly round volcano-shaped mounds and leave these raised surface ridges. But here's the kicker for us San Diego residents. Moles eat grubs and insects. They rarely touch your plants. Plus, they're actually pretty rare in San Diego yards compared to the plant-destroying gopher. Basically, if your plants are dying at the root, you've got a gopher. Moving on to Section 2, why they target San Diego.
So what is it about our beautiful county that makes it such a massive target? Well, San Diego is inherently a very dry county. But your yard is an irrigated oasis. This provides incredibly soft, diggable soil and a constant, steady food supply for these solitary rodents. The pressure is exceptionally heavy in semi-rural and canyon-adjacent areas. Neighborhoods with open spaces that back directly up to landscaped yards, think places like East County, Poway, Escondido, and Ramona, they see huge call volumes. There's literally nothing stopping a gopher from just moving in from the wild hillside. And while they are active all year long, you really have to watch out during the spring, roughly February through May, and then again in the fall. That's when they're actively expanding their tunnel systems looking for new territory.
Section 3, skip the online myths. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how much terrible advice is actually out there. If you've spent any time Googling this problem, you've definitely seen advice telling you to buy sonic spikes, drench your soil in castor oil, flood the burrow with a garden hose, or, my personal favorite, shove a piece of chewing gum down the hole hoping they'll choke on it. Look, let's put an end to that right now. These methods are practically useless. The reality of a gopher's behavior is that if they encounter an unpleasant smell, a weird noise, or flooding water, they simply pack dirt into that section of the tunnel and seal it off. It takes them just a few minutes. They will literally just dig a new tunnel right around your piece of chewing gum. I mean, it's kind of comical to think minty gum would stop an animal that digs through hard, compacted earth with its teeth, right?
And then, of course, there's poison. While bait can work if it's placed perfectly inside a tunnel, it carries a very real, very dangerous risk that most homeowners just don't weigh heavily enough. Zinc phosphide and anticoagulant baits don't just affect the gopher. They create a severe secondary poisoning risk to San Diego's natural predators, like our local owls and hawks. Not to mention your own household pets who might catch or scavenge a poisoned gopher that makes it above ground. Poison is absolutely not the easy way out here. It can actively harm our local ecosystem.
Which brings us to the core of our playbook. Section 4, the 5-step trapping method. If the internet hacks don't work and poison is too risky, here is the exact step-by-step method professionals actually rely on. Step 1, locate a fresh mound and probe for the main tunnel. Step 2, set 2 traps back to back. Step 3, check them daily and reset immediately after a catch. Leaving a caught trap too long just leaves an open tunnel for the next gopher to use. Step 4, treat every single active burrow system on your property, not just the first one you happen to see. A lot of times, one yard has more than one gopher. And step 5, monitor for reinvasion for several weeks. Let's break down exactly how to execute the trickiest parts of this. So the crucial point here is step number 1, locating the main tunnel. Because if you skip this inspection step and just kind of guess where to place the traps, the whole method fails. You want to look for the absolute freshest mound. The dirt will be dark and loose, not days old and crusted over. You'll need a probe tool, and you're going to probe the ground about 8 to 12 inches out from the plugged side of that mound. Remember how we said earlier the hole is plugged off to one side? Well, that plug acts almost like a big arrow pointing to where the gopher came from. You'll feel a sudden drop in resistance when your probe hits that primary tunnel. That usually runs about 6 to 12 inches underground. You are looking for the main highway here, not the short little lateral side branches. Once you've actually opened up that main tunnel highway, you move right into step 2. You set 2 pincer or box traps. Styles like the Maccabee or the Gophinator, those are the standard tools here. And this part is vital. You set them back to back inside the main tunnel. Now, why do we do that? Because you have absolutely no idea which direction the gopher is currently working down there. By facing the traps in opposite directions, you catch the gopher coming from either way. The mechanics of this are highly effective because it directly removes the animal instead of just crossing your fingers and hoping it magically packs up and leaves. Which leads us to section 5, prevention and professional help. So how do we keep your yard safe long term? Honestly, the best way to protect your investment is with physical barriers. If you're putting in new plants, install wire gopher baskets around the root balls. These are brilliant because they let the roots grow out through the mesh safely, but they completely block a gopher from reaching the main root ball. For raised vegetable or flower beds, placing a hardware cloth barrier underneath the soil extends that exact same protection. And above all else, you must act quickly. A single gopher can wreck a lawn, chew right through buried irrigation lines, and completely gnaw off the roots of a young tree in a matter of weeks. Treat a fresh mount within a day or two. Do not wait around to see if it spreads. But you might be wondering, when is it time to just throw in the towel and hand it over to an expert? Well, you should absolutely call a pro if you're dealing with an entire complex tunnel system. Professionals actually map the whole system, every mound, every tunnel direction, all the likely laterals, treating it as one connected network rather than just making individual random guesses all over your yard. They're also totally necessary for treating multiple active burrows at once and for managing that constant, frustrating reinvasion pressure that comes from living right next to open spaces and canyons. Which leaves us with this final thought. Gopher damage moves incredibly fast once a burrow system takes hold in your yard, and those mounds you're seeing today, they are rarely the only ones hiding underground. The clock is literally ticking on your yard's survival. So what's it going to be? Will you take action today using the methods we just outlined, or will you wait until your lawn and your expensive irrigation lines are completely destroyed? Go grab some traps or call a professional immediately. Your yard is depending on it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and good luck taking back your lawn.